The Batman honeymoon period didn't even last a week, not even a week, before DC Movies started doing stupid shit again. Or is there a method to their madness? I think once you hear me out, you're going to actually understand very well why they're doing it. I actually don't think they really have a choice. And I'm not even just talking about the VFX creative situation. All right, so I've been telling you for months that I thought that these movies would move. I also told you that Shazam would have to come out first. I thought just before The Flash, because there were story elements that the audiences needed to see first in Shazam 2. But now Flash is all the way in the back, so it seems that Aquaman 2 also has to come out first. So I'd heard that there were story elements, and also they've been testing Shazam in front of audiences already. The thing's pretty much ready to go. But I'd also heard that the VFX for The Flash and Aquaman 2 have a long ways to go. There was a lot of production delays because of COVID. And also, these are VFX-heavy movies. In some ways, they're practically animated. So they want to make sure they get them right. And Warner Brothers, one of the things they're known for is having really good visual effects, thank you very much. And if they can beat Marvel in any category, well, then you would think they would want to make sure they continue to do so. But at the same time, some movies crunch it. They crunch it real good. And they just force their VFX teams to work day and night until the movie is, good enough to get out there. You saw that the Sony VFX team was fixing VFX shots after the movie was released. And that turned out amazing for Sony. So it worked out really well. So you would think that Warner Brothers would be like, let's just go for it. Especially because the longer they wait, just the further ahead of them Marvel gets. Especially because there's a lot of similarities between the characters and the stories that the two companies want to tell. Because there are similarities in the comics. That's, they inspired each other over the years, and sometimes Marvel would do something first, and sometimes DC would do something first. But since Marvel is getting to all of this stuff first in terms of how non-comic book fans see it, it looks like Marvel invents everything, and DC's constantly copying them. DC did the multiverse first, yet how stale is that story idea going to be by the time Flash runs into theaters in June 2023? That's over a year from now. That's crazy. So there's got to be something else, right? Well, this is what I think it might be. There's a Discovery merger happening, right? And it's happening quickly. Things are starting to happen very quickly now, and the Warner Brothers film team, which, has to see if David Zaslav will keep them, they're riding high on the Batman. Why on earth would they torpedo themselves with a potential box office bomb that makes them look bad? As it is, someone in the team's going to have to throw themselves on Fantastic Beasts 3 to save everybody else. Like, why not push these things back? Poor Dwayne Johnson. Warner Brothers usually never advertises during the Super Bowl. But Dwayne Johnson does, so he talked them into doing that spot, which was nice. It was a nice spot. And when I saw it, I thought they were going to crunch it. I was like, well, who would announce these movies in such an official way for 2022 and then move them? But Warner Brothers would do that. And now Dwayne Johnson stuck as kind of like the face of this. But, I think he looks the best out of the group. He released an Instagram video to try and get ahead of the story, put a positive, upbeat, excited spin on it because his two movies are part of the mess. But if the films coming out this year, they're his. Either he's starring in them or he's at least producing them. He produces Shazam 2. So I think that's great. Obviously, the Warner Brothers executives would love Dwayne Johnson to be in the room with them and David Zaslav. Be like, look, we brought you Dwayne Johnson. Who doesn't want to meet Dwanta? I think Dwayne Johnson kind of comes out at the end of the day even, right? So it's a kind of embarrassing to have these movies pushed and that spot negated, but at least his stuff's pushed the least and he's still in the mix. But think about it from the Warner Brothers executives' point of view. They have the Batman. Now they have Elvis. That looks fantastic. Don't Worry, Darling, which should at the very least be a cult hit. And Creed 3. That's pretty good stuff. And, a lot of these executives were the same executives who were there when they did the transition to AT&T. And they made changes to DC in an effort to try and smooth that transition and to put themselves in a good light. In that case, they actually they were unwilling to push a movie because they really wanted Justice League to come out within that within the year, so for financial reasons. And then they wanted to tonally change it because they were worried, Batman v Superman had a bad response from some, the critics and the audience scores are not great. So, they were like, oh, if we have, Joss Whedon, who did the Avengers films, well, then we'll have a big hit to show AT&T. But then talk about box office bombs. That one not only blew up in their faces, but has planted many mini bombs for a long time. It was rough. They're still actually reeling from those explosions. But anyway, you have a group of executives who are willing to change the slate to reflect on their career chances. And I gotta say, who here wouldn't do the same, right? I mean, the problem is that there are things that need to be covered up, right? If you had a really good slate to begin with, you wouldn't have to do any of this crazy finagling. But also, speaking of the Batman, Warner Brothers tried to put a bit of a positive spin on this today by first announcing that the Colin Farrell Penguin show has been picked up straight to series for HBO Max. I bet it has, with all these other bad headlines I knew were coming later in the day. And I think that's also to counter some of the clickbait headlines for that GCPD show being canceled. I don't think it was canceled. They purposefully said that it was being reworked as an Arkham Asylum show, which when I heard what Matt Reeves wanted to do with the GCPD show, that was not going to do well. It had no named characters on it, really. So, and also, I don't think anyone wants to go back in time to see what Robert Pattinson was doing before this movie. That seems silly to me. So, I think as long as Reeves still has 2 shows on HBO Max, he's still doing great, and he didn't lose anything. All right, so let's look at these movies and their new release dates. And we'll also look at the other movies that are coming out against them now and try to surmise how they might fare at the box office, right? All right, so DC Super Pets has been moved from May 20th, which I think was a pretty good date, actually, and everyone is excited about the film after that great Keanu Reeves Batman trailer that dropped with the Batman. And on the May 20th date, it just was coming out like 2 weeks or so after Multiverse of Madness. Then Bob's Burgers was the week after, but that's a very different type of animation, more adult. And then it had a whole month until Minions came out. So that seemed like a great date to me, and we're all excited about it. Why make us wait? But its new date, July 29th, which was Black Adam's old date, as is with most studios, they keep the chairs, they just change who's sitting in them. But now it's at the end of summer. Secret Headquarters from Paramount might come out the week after, but who knows at this point? They haven't done any advertising for that. And then it has DC Super Pets has all of August. Right before everyone's like it's hot. There's really nothing to do. Maybe people will go to the multiplex and watch DC Super Pets. So that's fine. But I don't see why it had to move. All right. Then Black Adam, now kicked off its July 29th date, now is opening October 21st. Interesting, for Halloween. Everybody's wearing cool costumes in that movie, so that's kind of a neat way to go with it. And this date's okay. I think it really depends on how hot Across the Spider-Verse is, which comes out 2 weeks earlier. Now that, of course, is the first movie became a big hit, but only later on down the road in streaming. Its box office theatrically was quite disappointing. So the question is, has its fan base grown, or is that just something people want to watch on streaming? Warner Brothers is betting that it won't be a juggernaut like other Spider-Man movies. We'll see. I think it could be big. Halloween Ends also comes out right before, but then all those movies have the Halloween holiday, and then up until Black Panther 2 comes out in mid-November, to make money. So I think it's an okay date. It's an okay date. It's not as good as having all of August like DC Super Pets now has. I think, quite frankly, and also this isn't, I guess they need the extra 2 months for the VFX, but I think the DC Super Pets and Black Adam should have stayed where they were. All right, then, so Shazam 2 has moved up, right? Again, because I'd heard that stuff happens in the movie that you need to see before you see The Flash. And again, apparently the same with Aquaman. So anyway, it moved up, and it took Aquaman's old date for December 16th, 2022. Now that means it opens the same weekend as Avatar 2. That's insanity. That's just ridiculous. And also Black Panther 2, again, as we just talked about, comes out November 11th. So that's a lot of water. I can see why Aquaman 2 wanted to get out of this fishbowl, because it's just too many, because Namor is a huge player in Black Panther 2. He's being introduced. He's really going to be cool. So yeah, I can see, but I don't think they've moved it far enough away from those movies either. But yeah, so Aquaman 2 didn't want to be there. But does Shazam want to be there? I don't think anybody. I think if I were Warner Brothers, I'd just be like, we lost December. Bye. And then at first I was like, well, maybe Shazam could be counter-programming because it's such a family film. So it's counter-programming to Avatar 2 and Black Panther 2, although I feel those both have strong family appeal as well. But for Thanksgiving, Disney Animation owns Thanksgiving. They have Strange World coming out. That could still be going very strong by the time, mid-December. And then also, the weekend right after Shazam 2 and Avatar 2, you have Illumination Entertainment's Super Mario Brothers movie. And I know a lot of you don't like the casting for that, but don't underestimate Illumination Entertainment and Universal. Again, very, very strong competitors, and that's a huge brand. It's an incredible brand. It could do quite well. I don't know why Shazam would want to go up against that movie. It's going to even be comedic. All right, so that's 2022. And I think that's a softer way to kick off, to jumpstart the DCEU. I guess Flash is the one making all the changes with Flashpoint, so get all these movies in there maybe, and then maybe the Flash will just completely run out of the DCEU. We'll see. They're not going to reshoot the movie, I don't think. All right, so then Aquaman 2 is moving off of its December 16th date to March 17th. Just like 3 months after all those water movies anyway. So I don't really think that's far enough away. But anyway, it's taking Wonka's spot. So March is a pretty good time. It's spring break. Some movies have made a lot of money in March. And I think Aquaman 2 could do well here. It has some strong competition. 1 week before it comes out, Disney's Haunted Mansion, and I think that's going to be great. And then the week after, John Wick 4 comes out. But April's pretty empty per usual, so I guess those movies have the whole month to play before summer movie season kicks off. So they could do pretty well there. They could do pretty well. So it's not an exciting, sexy date, but it's an okay date. Then The Flash, again, moves from November 4th to June 23rd, 2023. Last movie in the group. 1 week beforehand, Transformers will open, and then 1 week after, Indiana Jones 5 opens, and that's interesting because the rumor is that involves time travel, and that's kind of similar to the multiverse hopping that Flash is going to be doing. So I don't really know if I'd want those movies back to back. And then, that's the end of June. And then July is pretty crowded. Mission Impossible 7, Nolan's Oppenheimer, now for Universal, Wile E. Coyote, Friendly Fire from Warner Brothers itself, where Wile E. Coyote sues the Roadrunner, or Acme. It's a courtroom thing. I think it's going to be funny. And then, about a month after Flash opens, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I've heard mixed things about that. That's going to be really quirky, and I don't know if Peyton Reed can pull it off. He's not Taika Waititi, but we'll see. Hopefully Quantumania will be too big to fail. I get it. All right, because it's so tiny. All right, so that's the DCEU movies. And also Wonka, because Aquaman took its date, Wonka got pushed all the way to next holiday season, really far. Not this upcoming holiday season, which is pretty far away anyway, but December 15th, 2023. I think Christmas is a much better fit for the Wonka film than spring, so I think this is a good spot for it. I think it has a Harry Potter type of vibe already, and it doesn't have an Avatar movie to go up against. It's supposed to go up against Star Wars Rogue Squadron, but they're not even casting that movie. Wonka's shooting right now. I don't even know if they're going to make Rogue Squadron, to be honest with you. Let's see. And then maybe the Star Trek movie will come out, the new Star Trek movie. We'll see how those deal negotiations go after Paramount lost all their bargaining power. And then Disney, of course, will have another animated movie for Thanksgiving again that year, which will be, I think Wonka better hope it's very different than theirs. So what do you think of Warner Brothers' new slate? And now that you think about the potential reasons for why they changed all these movies, do you understand it better and maybe, get where they're coming from? And also, how do you feel about having to wait so much longer for each of these films? And what are your thoughts on their odds of success and their new dates? Share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.